Right, before we get into The Last Jedi, quick announcement. Last year, I did a Twitch stream for Christmas Eve, and I'll be doing that again this year. The game I will be playing is Wild 9, which I've already played on this channel. I did a walkthrough of it, but that was a while ago, and this time I'm going to see if I can complete it in one Twitch stream. Like I did with Crash Bandicoot last year, I'm going to try and complete it. I failed with Crash Bandicoot. I only got like 2.5 islands in. Didn't manage to get to the end, but hopefully with Wild 9 we will be able to. So, I don't know what time that'll be happening at yet. So if you follow me on Twitch, or follow me on Twitter, I'll leave links to both of those accounts down in the description, and I'll be announcing on them, you know, when I'm good to go. But that will be happening on Sunday, Christmas Eve. Okay, I'm just adding this in, post-review recording. I've just realised that this is going to be almost half an hour long. So, I'm not going to edit in, like, loads of pictures and Star Wars things whilst doing the review. I'm just going to have some video game footage going in the background. It's nothing special, it's nothing to, like, concentrate on. It's just background stuff whilst I talk about Star Wars, because trying to edit this is going to take hours. And I just kind of want to get this out. So, if you want, just ignore the video game footage, just listen to what I'm saying about Star Wars. With all that said and done, let's get into The Last Jedi. Now, this is unscripted, so I might be a bit slow trying to, you know, come up with things to say. I have got a bunch of notes, but, yeah, let's get into it. So, Star Wars The Last Jedi. Long story short, I really enjoyed it. I loved the film. I thought it was fantastic. There has been a bit of backlash against it, but I will try and address that in this review. So, spoilers, by the way. This is going to be a full spoiler review. The movie's been out for a week and a half at this point, so yeah, this review is full spoilers, so just bear that in mind. If you haven't seen the film and you don't want to know anything going in, avoid this review. Come back to it afterwards. Please come back to it. I want the views. But for now, avoid this review. So, with all that being said and done, first of all, I'm going to concentrate on the characters. The characters that I thought, you know, mattered the most during the storyline. The main characters, that tends to be what they're called, the main characters. And then after that, I'll get more onto the story and, like, the humor and everything else, basically. So, first of all, let's look at Rey. Just like Kylo Ren, she battled conflict, and I thought that came across really well. She clearly felt a pull to the dark side at one point, which is why, like, when Luke was trying to train her, she went straight to that cave, and then she actually went to the cave later on. She only rejected the dark side, of course, when the cave refused to give her answers. I think that's good, though, because it meant that she felt the pull, and she didn't just reject it out of hand, you know, just because she's on the good side. She felt the conflict and thought, why not give this a quick go just to see what happens? I thought Daisy Ridley put in an excellent performance once again, and one thing I absolutely adored about Rey's story is that she's not a Skywalker or a Solo or a Kenobi. That's excellent, because it means that this entire universe doesn't revolve around the same few people. Now, it's revealed that her parents were literally just nothing. They sold her on Jakku and then just went away. Now, to be fair, there is still the possibility that she is a Kenobi, I guess, because Obi-Wan could be her grandfather, which would make more sense in the timeline. And, I mean, I was going to say that that would prove that Obi-Wan Kenobi wasn't very good at raising kids if his child then abandoned their child, but if you've watched the prequels, we already know that Obi-Wan Kenobi isn't very good at raising kids. So, yeah, there was lots of focus on Rey in particular. This was her film. Finn took like a back seat in this one, and I'll get onto him in a bit, but this film was very much Rey's film, and it came across really well. Really enjoyed all that. Moving on to her counterpart in this film, Kylo Ren. Again, battling internal conflict, and he is fantastic. Adam Driver, applauding Adam Driver, because he played it absolutely fantastically. You could see that it doesn't matter whether he's feeling the pull to the light or feeling the pull to the dark. He doesn't feel comfortable with either of them. He's got so much conflict in him that he just does not know what to do. You know, the way he refuses to kill his mother himself, but then at the same time. Then he kills Snoke later on. Again, spoilers. But at the same time, you know, he actually captures Rey and all that sort of stuff. And there is a conflict. I still cannot tell whether he's going to go light or dark in the finale of this trilogy. I cannot tell. That's fantastic, because it means that he's playing it really well, and that there is a story to finish there. He's very confused as to where he's at. And the way that he interacts with Rey, the Ren and Rey storyline was brilliant. I really enjoyed that. I was really intrigued. I was all in. I felt it. It was very compelling. And that was fantastic. Now, Luke Skywalker. He's the big one. Everyone wanted to see what would happen with Luke Skywalker in this film. And looking at the fans, they're about 50-50 on whether they actually have enjoyed what they did with Luke Skywalker in this film. Me, I loved it. A lot of people say he was like Luke Skywalker in a way because of the way he was grumpy and not hopeful or whatever. I think everyone wanted the Luke Skywalker that was just going to come in and defeat the First Order, or like come in and join the Resistance immediately and try and save the day. But that's not what happened. He was grumpy, and he was angry. He didn't really want to connect with Rey. He had almost disconnected himself from the Force. And to me, that makes complete sense. In terms of character development, that does make complete and utter sense to me. If I had defeated the Empire and Darth Vader only to watch the First Order rise from its ashes and to watch my own nephew Kylo Ren get seduced by the dark side, do you know what? I'd be pretty grumpy at this point as well. He obviously felt very down about the universe. He just thought maybe that the good fight wasn't worth it. He thought that perhaps, you know, he'd done all this fighting and he was still losing, so there's no point. That's why he's grumpy, and I actually love that. And I think the way that they send him out, because again, spoiler alert, Luke Skywalker, he does die at the end, but it is a beautiful death. It's not, he doesn't get skewered by a lightsaber. In fact, Kylo Ren tries to skew him with a lightsaber only to discover he's not there and that he is in fact a Force projection. And the way he was so badass about, you know, the way, I mean, yes, it was only projection, but he gets hit by a bunch of lasers, survives that, Kylo Ren can't kill him, and he helps the Resistance escape. And it's just a beautiful and brilliant final act for Luke Skywalker to go out on as he watches the two sunsets and fades away, basically. Mark Hamill puts in just a fantastic performance. You know, Adam Driver and Mark Hamill really stood out in this film with their performances. They were just brilliant. No, can't give them enough high praise for it. So I actually really enjoyed the characterization of Luke Skywalker in this film. It was something different. It was unexpected, and I think that's what people are upset about. But you've got to take risks to move something forward, and that's something I'll get onto later. Now we're going to a bit more of... They were main characters, but also not in a way. So we'll start off with Finn. Yeah, ultimately, his storyline was pointless. You know, it didn't really go anywhere. He tried to save the Resistance, and he failed. And he helps out a bit at the end, I guess. But he was kind of useless as a result of his storyline. And I actually find that quite funny, because it's a bit like a Stormtrooper. Stormtrooper's pretty useless. Finn, ex-Stormtrooper, has a pretty useless storyline. It's a shame, because I feel like it's a waste of Finn, of John Boyega. But with that being said, his partnership with Rose was lovely. Thought they had a real good partnership. They worked well together. And it makes perfect sense that Rose kind of fell for him over the time. And they're setting that up, and lots of people are like, oh, but Finn Poe. Yeah, whatever. I really love the fact that he could get with Rose. I think that's brilliant. And I think he does learn one lesson, in that in both The Force Awakens and in this film, he tries to run away from the Resistance. That's all he cares about. But over the course of the film, and by the end, he's joined it. He has joined the Resistance. He stopped trying to run away, and he's fighting the fight now. And I think that's what he learned. That's a lesson he learns. But that's more of a personal storyline, which I guess can work. you know, that depends on your viewpoint of it. But I think, in the context of the overall film, there were two storylines going on. There was one with Kylo Ren, Luke, and Rey, and the other one with Finn, Poe, and the Resistance. There were basically two different storylines. They kind of come together at the end, in the final battle, but for most of the film, it's two very separate storylines. As for General Leia, again, kind of wasted, especially Carrie Fisher in her final performance. Now, Carrie Fisher, this is her final performance, and it's beautiful. She gives a very, very good final performance. It's a brilliant one to go out on. I just feel like the character of Leia was wasted a bit. A bit like Finn, she was wasted. I feel like this storyline on the other side of it was all a bit wasted. I feel like General Organa, I mean, yes, she is a general. So, and what generals do is they give orders to you know, their armies or whomever, their soldiers. And that's all Leia does, really. She just gives orders. That's all she kind of does throughout the film. And it's a shame, really. I'd have liked to see a few more deeper moments. I think that's not her fault, and I don't even think it's the writers or director's fault. I think the idea was that Leia was going to have a background role in this film, and then she was going to come to prominence in Episode 9, now that Han and Luke were both dead. Unfortunately, that didn't get to happen because Carrie Fisher tragically passed away. As a result, it feels a bit of a waste, but it's also not their fault. They, of course, didn't know that Carrie Fisher was going to pass away, and they didn't see fit just to change her role just because of that. So it is a shame that she wasn't given a bigger role in her last performance. But it is a beautifully played role. Also, she has that weird moment where she gets blasted into space, and then kind of, I mean, she should be immediately dead, but somehow, like, guides herself back to the ship using the Force. A lot of people didn't like that, me neither. I have seen a theory on Twitter that suggests that she used the Force to create, like, she got in a bunch of, like, oxygen that was floating around in space after the explosion. She had the oxygen surround her so that she could breathe, and then, using the Force, of course, so she manipulated the oxygen atoms to surround her so she could breathe, and then she used the Force, of course, to bring her back to the ship so she could survive. I guess that's true. I guess the Force can be used in that way, but at the same time, it's kind of weird, the way that she was blasted into space and was just fine, I guess. I wasn't a fan of that. Neither are a lot of people, but it happened, whatever. And the final one I'm going to look at for now is Poe Dameron. I felt that his character development, unlike Luke's, was lacking a bit. Throughout the entire film, he's too trigger happy. It happens at the start, and they lose basically all the bombers and all the people on those bombers, and then General Leia demotes him, and he thinks he would learn his lesson. He doesn't. Throughout the film, he remains trigger happy. Now, clearly as a character, he just wants what is best for the Resistance, and what he thinks is best for the Resistance. And Oscar Isaac, again, actually gives a really good performance as Poe Dameron, actually, in this. I thought he was great. But I just feel like he doesn't develop much, at least not until the end when he gets shot by Leia and she tells him what's up. But I feel like until then, there's not a whole lot of character development with him. And of course, he works into Finn and Rose's storyline nicely. But yeah. So I felt like the one side of the film, with Finn, Rose, Leia, and Poe, was a totally different story to what happened with Kylo, Ren, Luke, and Rey. And I just felt like some of the performances on the side of Finn and Poe and all that sort of stuff, felt that was a little bit wasted. Which is a shame, but I guess that's the way it is. Now we're just going to move past the characters a little bit. Oh, and by the way, who was that one other character? Who was the one that Poe was against? I can't remember. The Vice Admiral. What was her name? Give me a minute, this is live. I'm going to Wikipedia. Holdo. That was it. Vice Admiral Holdo. Yeah, I believe she was played in kind of a cold manner, so that we would side with Poe. That was the entire reason behind, like, her characterization. Why she's so, like, she's, of course, on the good side, and we learn at the end that she was acting basically on the orders of Leia, but at the same time, you know, she's portrayed as cold, and that's why she, you know, and that's why we're not supposed to like her, we're supposed to side with Poe. That's a bit on the nose for me. You know, she could have been a little bit nicer about it, but, you know, whatever. Again, good performance by the actress who played her. Again, I'm trying to Google that. Where is it? Laura Dern. That was the one. Alright. And just looking through this cast list now, Benicio del Toro, DJ, he was very good, actually. Now that I think about it, Del Toro played him, actually, really, really well. Donald Gleason as General Hux. General Hux felt like he was very much comic relief. You know, he's so over the top and so wrong about many things, you know, the way he plays it as if he's constantly constipated it's just funny, you know. And I mean, it opens with a joke, and I'll get onto that in a minute, involving Poe Dameron and General Hux, and you can see it's just meant to be a bit of light comic relief entering the film, and it doesn't really change throughout the rest of the film. But speaking of that side of things now, despite the obvious gravity of this film and how serious the stuff is involving, like, Luke and Ren and Rey, there are a lot of funny moments in the film. There are a lot of jokes. A lot of jokes that are clearly trying to be funny. I felt that most of them landed for me. I had quite a few giggles during this film. Not all of them quite landed, but when you put in a lot of jokes, just watch any Marvel film. When you put in a lot of jokes, they're not all gonna land. But I felt most of them did for me. Kind of took me out the film a little bit at some points, because Star Wars has always had a few jokes in it, but never this many, and it did pull me out the film here and there at times. And again, a lot of people are against the humour in this film. I'm not against it, I just felt there was a little bit too much of it, and some of it was a bit too on the nose. We see some new things with the Force as well, with the way that Ren and Rey are connected. That's a new Force thing, and I guess the thing with Leia floating through space, is that new? We might have seen that. In fact, we might have seen any of this in, like, extended universe kind of things that I haven't seen before. I only really concentrate on the films. So, some of this might not be new, but for the general audience who do only come to see the films, a lot of this is new. And I like that. It's moved it forwards, and that's something I'll get onto in a bit. But yeah, took a few risks with it, as did the whole film. The film was risky. It didn't play it safe. The Force Awakens was very, very safe. The Force Awakens was A New Hope Mark II. This absolutely was not. This was new. It took some elements from old films. There was a little bit of Empire Strikes Back. There was a little bit of the Return of the Jedi. But this has a lot of new things going for it. It was risky, and I do think it was better for it. A lot of people... This is what is dividing a lot of people as well. The amount of risks it took. And for me, it's a lot better for it. I think we'll look back on this film after all this backlash and see it as a great film. Because it moved... This film moved Star Wars forwards. It moved the universe and the story forwards. It's no longer stranding it on past glories. Han Solo, gone. He's dead. That happened in The Force Awakens. Luke Skywalker, as of the end of this film, dead. And Leia, she won't be coming back either. So, in the next film, barring blue ghosts, for like maybe Luke Skywalker and Yoda like we see in this film as well, we won't be seeing any past characters. The finale will be all the newer characters. And that's good. You cannot keep using the same old characters all the time into the future. We've got to leave them behind at some point and start to move the universe forwards. And I felt like that's what The Last Jedi did. It looked back a little bit, and it took elements from the past, but it more so it's looking forwards. It's looking to the future of Star Wars and where it's going rather than where it has been. And that's also mirrored by Kylo Ren in the film. Kylo Ren is looking to completely let go of his past and move forwards. That's actually what he's doing. So Kylo Ren is sort of a characterization of this film itself in a way. Something that's dwelling on its past less and less and actually looking to move forwards into the future. And I think that works not only for this film's benefit, but it will work for the benefit of the Star Wars universe itself. Coming towards the end of this review now, the action is as you'd expect. You know, nothing outstanding for me, it's Star Wars action. Snoke, the character of Snoke, dead, gone, and disappointing. We don't know who he is still. We don't know where he came from. He seems to be a bit like the Emperor in terms of he's evil just for being evil. And now he's dead. Nothing really happened with him. There was no development. We never got to learn who he is. 1 minute he's there, being evil, manipulating Kylo Ren, and then boom, dead. Gone. And it's disappointing. It reminds me of Darth Maul. Darth Maul should perhaps have been the enemy for the entire prequel trilogy. He was a fantastic character. Well, he wasn't, but he could have been. He could have been a fantastic character, but they killed him off in the very first one. And I feel like Snoke has had a bit of Maul syndrome here. We learn nothing about him, and he's just dead. He's gone. Toast. Who knows? And that's disappointing. I wanted to see more from Snoke. I wanted to see them do more with Snoke. So that is disappointing. This does answer a few questions, this film, such as that flashback we saw in The Force Awakens when Rey touched Luke's saber, and saw the burning Jedi Temple. We know that now. We know the story behind that it was Kylo Ren after Luke basically contemplated killing him. So, yeah, we do get a few answers, but there are so many more questions asked now. There are so many questions that J.J. Abrams is going to have to answer in Episode 9. It'll be very impressive if he does. So, the finale is shaping up to be, you know, pretty big. There's a lot of questions to answer, you know, and there's absolutely no classic characters now to lean back on, aside from in Blue Ghost form. One more thing as well, Gwendolyn Christie as Captain Phasma, horrifically underused, and she is literally Boba Fett Mark II. Someone, like a stormtrooper, who seems to be of higher rank, has got their own uniform, has apparently earned that because of their outstanding performances, only to learn that they are just like any other stormtrooper, and they get killed very swiftly. Again, Gwendolyn Christie was very underused. We barely see Captain Phasma. We see it like 3 times, and in the last one, she gets killed by Finn. So she is literally Boba Fett Mark II. Someone who should be high-ranking and impressive, and like scary to a point, and instead is just funny and dies very quickly. So I guess that's disappointing, but I think she was meant to be Boba Fett Mark II, so I guess that's just the way it is. And also the film, you could cut stuff out of it. It was a bit too long. It was 2 hours 20, something like that. And I don't want to say it feels it, but it did drag a bit. It did drag a little bit, and I feel like there are a few things in it that you could cut out, make it more of a compact, take out 20 minutes or so, maybe even take out half an hour, make it under 2 hours, you know, and I feel that would have been a more compact film and more entertaining as a result. I think I've been over pretty much everything. That's everything in my notes anyway. Of course we see C-3PO, R2-D2, BB-8 again, they're fine, they're cool, they're just kind of there. Less C-3PO, actually. There's less C-3PO in this second trilogy. But, okay, so, overall. Now, in my first review, I did a let's base it on something in the film out of 10. And then with my Justice League review, I just clearly said a number. What can I give this out of 10? I'm not going to go for something in the film. I want to say a Porg out of 10, but I don't even know what that would mean, and I'm the one saying it. Let's just give it a score. 8. 8 out of 10. Which seems higher, because I have had quite a few complaints with it regarding, like, Finn's storyline and that side of things, with Snoke, with his length, and Gwendolyn Christie. I have actually moaned about quite a few things. But the other side of the film, Rey, Ren, and Luke, their storyline is just outstanding. I absolutely adored it, you know. And I liked I loved how the film was risky, it tried new things, and it moved the franchise forwards. It's no longer relying on past glories. It moved the storyline and the franchise forwards into the future. Unlike The Force Awakens, which was a rehash. I love The Force Awakens, but it was basically A New Hope number 2. This wasn't anything number 2. It was its own thing. And also, I feel like people are moaning about The Last Jedi. Have they seen the prequels? The prequels are just awful. The prequels... I cannot call this film bad when the prequels exist. So I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. Really, really enjoyed it. Go see it if you haven't already. And if you haven't already, why are you still listening to this? I've basically just spoiled the entire thing. There's probably something that I've missed in my notes. You know, which means I didn't actually get to say it. Leave your thoughts of the film down in the comments. You know, just tell me what you think. I'm sure there'll be mixed comments like there has been with the general fan reaction. But I personally really enjoyed it. I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic film. This has been, bloody hell, 26 minutes? Shit. Considering my other reviews were like under 5, this has been 26 minutes. But then that's the type of film this was. You needed to go in depth with this film. So if you have enjoyed this fucking essay on Star Wars The Last Jedi, please like and subscribe. That's what YouTubers say at the end. Yeah, if you have enjoyed this essay on The Last Jedi, please like and subscribe. And don't forget about that Twitch stream. Follow me on Twitch or Twitter. I'll be announcing when I'm doing that. It's definitely going to be on Sunday, but just keep following me on them and I'll announce like what time. And I'll get to that on Sunday. In case I don't upload another video before Christmas, Merry Christmas to you all. And yeah, thanks for watching and see you next time. Goodbye.